As I consider introspection, as I always do, I look back at things in retrospect. And from time to time, I like to step out and look at this from a third person's perspective. On top of that, I have interviewed and questioned many fair and balanced, impartial parties to the effect of what they believe is going on, and consistently they see it my way. So let's look at the facts here and consider what they are indicative of and what they prove. They definitely are indicative of criminal negligence by mental health, Santa Clara County Mental Health Services, Valley Med, and, La Selva, and different institutions that I bring up. Negligence by law enforcement, intelligence agencies, the respective authorities, and multiple violations of confidentiality agreements, HIPAA, and what have you. Ironically, breaking the Hippocratic Oath as well. So let's look at the facts here. I printed out some irrefutable facts that spell out quite clearly that there's nothing wrong with me and that I'm being provoked. I am being stalked by organized stalkers. They have organized this using different websites, forums, and different political groups and different institutions as meeting places and as their bases of operations. Number one, the paperwork, first and foremost, proves definitively that there is a disagreement amongst psychiatrists about whether or not I even have a mental illness. And I have maintained for 20 years that I do not. And since psychiatry is a pseudoscience and is even seen by psychiatrists as an imperfect science, one definitely has the right to disagree. And even if they could definitively prove that people have mental illness, one has a right to disagree about the most logical course of treatment. Second, the videos where I take the 4 tests and pass them in front of the viewers. I take these tests and show the results, and I take them in front of the viewers. OCD, schizoaffective, bipolar, and schizophrenia. And that covers everything that I've been accused of when you consider everything. Okay. And I haven't been accused of some of those things. Like, I haven't been accused of half of them, but the rest cover everything. All right, the next one is the perp admitting to provoking me, to being told to provoke me to go to the psych ward by the atheist who made the video to provoke me and to misrepresent me. But we'll get to that in a minute. Also, the videos where I document my change in behavior after blocking the ventilation system. And you only see angry behavior when I'm talking about being covertly drugged otherwise. And it is only one exception, and during the video I make that exception. I say, in this video I will, allow myself to raise my voice. It's the one where I'm making the paperwork. Every other time is either talking about martial arts demonstration, or talking about being a warrior, which are the exceptions where I tell you well ahead of time that this, during the whole 2016, those will only be the exceptions. Okay? And of course, that one exception I allow myself because the paperwork is such a significant turning point when I decided to release that. And I have other paperwork I have not decided to release showing that they are, in fact, covertly drugging me. And perhaps one day I'll release it. For the same reason I didn't release this paperwork, but I decided it was time. Okay, the change, 500,000, when I show you the RT mainstream media, 500,000 people who die from psychiatric medications annually. This also shows you that I certainly must have a right to choose my course of treatment when there's a pharmacos, for lack of a better term, taking place in Western countries alone. 500,000 people die from these psych meds every year. And that was recorded by a doctor, not some random study, Okay, the clip where I show you the person who knows me best in the last 14 years. For the last 14 years, there's a female who's known me better than my own family. I've confided in her more. You know, my family, I just say hi, hello. They say, have you taken your medication? We've cooked dinner, things of this nature. I actually explore how I feel and think and what I believe with her. And she says there's nothing wrong with me. The Dr. Thomas Zah's clip, he's a professor at Emeritus, and he says psychiatry is a joke. The playlist with tons of people saying they agree with me about psychiatry, and some of them have similar drugging, and some of them have similar stalking experiences, being group stalked and on record. It reminds you of the DOJ, Department of Justice report that says something like 15 to 20% of all stalking is group stalking. And we are talking thousands and thousands of cases, perhaps perhaps hundreds of thousands of cases. I forgot the number, but it's a large number of cases every year. The drugging playlist where I compare, I believe it's 2012, where I compare my behavior on psych meds to off, and pretty much prove that I'm being covertly drugged by showing you some drugged marijuana, and you see my behavior is the most dramatic ever during this intensive period of being covertly drugged. My parents always are the ones to take me to the psych ward. The only exception was being drunk in public, and the police officer called my dad because he recognized my name, and they decided to take me to the psych ward. So every single case of me going to the psych ward in my entire life was not people at University of Phoenix calling. It was not people at the store, at the mall, at the club. Okay, there was plenty of opportunities for everyone else in the community to call and to get me taken to the psych ward. They did not. It was always my parents, and this has to be noted carefully. Okay, I have examples of countless trolls threatening me in collaboration with many atheist videos which are made to provoke me, and I've been singled out showing that, yes, I am being stalked, and they are referencing my videos and my arguments showing that they are familiar with it, meaning they're discussing it amongst themselves, or they are cyber stalking me and are offended. Ask yourself, why would you watch somebody's videos who offends you and then make videos about this person? Well, there's different reasons. But what we're seeing here is a group collaboration. That is a form of stalking, and they are trying hard to provoke me to go to the psych ward. Now, ask yourself, how would that benefit them? Me going to the psych ward for a couple weeks or so, how's that going to help them? Unless there's something more devious at work, at play here. So when you consider the facts, and even the fact that I've taken the time to consider these things carefully, present it in a very calm and collected and concise manner, it is pretty logical to assume that I am being treated unfairly by law enforcement and mental health. It is rather absurd to think that anything else is going on here. And seeing how logical of a person I am, having stepped out of my shoes and looking at this situation, think about this video from a third person's point of view, or a bird's eye point of view, looking down, what would I see? Well, I would see a very logical, collected gentleman in an orderly room when most people have messy rooms, with countless sources and psychiatrists that see things his way on record. And I would be forced to say that yes, it is absolutely evil and wrong to provoke, harass, covertly drug, force medicate, stalk, or even mention psychiatry in a negative light around this person, other than to say I agree with this person, because it is crystal clear what is going on here. A sane man is being persecuted for his political views because they don't like the deeper implications of my martial arts challenge, because they don't like my views on the spiritual bottom feeders, and they don't like my views on mainstream society, the government, the military-industrial complex, and so on and so forth. I am the top martial artist in America. I have had a $3,000 challenge for over 2 years, over 2 years and 1 week. And I maintain that I am the top martial artist based on their inability to defeat me, based on facts, not speculation, based on putting my money where my mouth is, not speculation. But if there is one thing that I am far more sure of, it is that there is nothing wrong with me and that I am being persecuted for my political views based on hundreds of trolls, based on 4+ videos made about me, based on all the witnesses' testimonies, all the people who know me best and their points of view. Thank you. What they believe is going on, and consistently they see it my way. So let's look at the facts here and consider what they are indicative of and what they prove. They definitely are indicative of criminal negligence by mental health, in different political groups and different institutions as meeting places and as their bases of operations. Number one, the paperwork, first and foremost, proves definitively that there is a disagreement amongst psychiatrists about whether or not I even have a mental illness. Santa Clara County Mental Health Services, Valley Med, and, La Silva, and different institutions that I bring up. Negligence by law enforcement, intelligence agencies, the respective authorities, and multiple violations of confidentiality agreements, HIPAA, and what have you. As I consider introspection, as I always do, I look back at things in retrospect, and from time to time I like to step out and look at this from a third person's perspective. On top of that, I have interviewed and questioned many fair and balanced, impartial parties to the effect of, ironically, breaking the Hippocratic Oath as well. So let's look at the facts here. I printed out some irrefutable facts that spell out quite clearly that there's nothing wrong with me and that I'm being provoked. I am being stalked by organized stalkers. They have organized this using different websites, forums,